Welcome to AlexGs Aquarium, everybody. Today I want to give an update on the fish room for the 1,600-gallon system. I haven't talked about the equipment room very much, and I really want to give a good update on what's been going on back here, because there has been some changes since the last time I talked about it. The first thing I really want to cover is the UV sterilizer, which is probably the newest piece of equipment that has gone onto the 1,600-gallon system. It's been on for just under 2 months, and while it does require maintenance to be done every 90 days, I decided to go ahead a little bit early and disassemble it for maintenance. Now, the maintenance routine is pretty simple. All I had to do was shut the water flow off to the unit, shut the UV down. I removed the bulb from the unit, and then I cracked the unions on the top, and then also the one right here where the bulb is. Show a little video on the side here. I simply cracked that bottom union and slowly started to let the water drain out onto the tops of the 265. I just wiped all the dust and any salt residue off on there and opened that up so that it could just drain the water out easily. You don't want to try and cause a flood or have to pull the entire unit off. And I really wanted to see the condition of the quartz sleeve to see if there was any kind of algae buildup or bacterial film buildups, anything on there at all. It does say in the manual that if you have some heavy scaling, you might need to use muriatic acid to get it off, and that concerned me a little, but it's going to impact the ability of the bulb to do its job if there is any kind of buildup on the quartz sleeve. And I'm happy to say when I got it out, I didn't even notice that the quartz sleeve was there. I thought it looked like it was broken just because it was so clear. There's no buildup at all on it. I gave it one quick wipe down with a paper towel, checked it over real quick. I reinstalled the quartz sleeve, sealed it all back up. After I sealed it all back up, I did a water flow test on it, put paper towel into the front part of the quartz sleeve. I just wanted to make sure, just like when I first installed this UV sterilizer, that no water was leaking into the quartz sleeve since I had been moving all the parts around. Nothing leaked, put the bulb back in, fired it right up, and it's been going good overnight, didn't have any leaks. Overall, the maintenance was pretty simple on that, and I even put a little piece of tape with a date on it, so in 90 days I'll go ahead and do the maintenance again. The next topic I want to talk about with everybody is the protein skimmer and how it's been doing. No, and I gotta say, the last time I talked about the protein skimmer, this giant jug of vinegar was sitting on top of it because every time I cleaned it off, the lid was literally getting blown up, skimming was overflowing because it was such a heavy and thick, dense foam that it had enough air pressure to lift this lid off, which is pretty heavy piece of plastic to lift off. And I did have some people say I needed to ventilate a little bit more, and it turns out it just simply was the fact the foam was so thick. And now that the algae has died down significantly in the 480-gallon tank, you can see that it's returned to more of a normal operation. Do a little bit of a close-up here and let everyone see how it's doing. I have gone ahead and put my modification back in the center of this skimmer as well. It is producing a nice brown skimmate again. There's still a touch of green in it. And I've been cleaning it once a week. Also, at the request of viewers on live streams and for my own convenience, I have purchased a new faucet for my utility sink, so I will be able to clean the skimmer cup without having to, try and put it at an odd angle to get any kind of water into it. So that'll be coming up. Maybe you'll catch it on a live stream when I'm doing maintenance. Overall, though, the skimmer is running good. I've had a little bit of a challenge in the water level on the skimmer. It's not quite as high as I've wanted it lately. It's still producing a nice foam though. I want it to be a nice dry skim that's coming out of here. I don't want to pull a ton of stuff out. Overall though, I've been really happy with the performance on the skimmer. Another topic I really want to cover is humidity mitigation for the 1,600-gallon fish room. This topic comes up very frequently on live streams that I attend, and it's an important subject to talk about. A lot of people ask me, how is it working, if you have problems. And there have been a few minor challenges, but overall it's been working great. I haven't had any significant problems in my home with humidity. I keep all of it well contained in this space, and the only issue we've had, which is coming up a little bit right now because we're having a bit of a cold snap in Illinois, is a little bit of condensation on the inside of the plastic and inside the fish room, particularly in that corner right there. The airline draw for the protein skimmer is there, and then when it got really cold, I started to see more condensation on that line and also on the inside of the plastic of the fish room. Now, I will shut that airline off when it gets very cold, but I did notice there was a little bit of sweating on the concrete and on the tape. Now, the seal never really broke, and I never noticed condensation on the inside of the plastic, which is where my house would be. And the good thing is despite seeing this, it was something fairly easy to mitigate. I keep a small fan blowing on it when it tends to do that. When I first saw it, I didn't really do a whole lot, and I had one little tiny patch of mold show up, which was a little concerning because the whole idea of the humidity mitigation down here is to avoid things like mold from growing. But because of that constant sweating and condensation there, it formed a little bit. Once I added a fan though, it eliminated the problem. I also went over it with bleach and bleached that part of the cement on the wall there, which completely got rid of my problem. Pretty much, this is the first time in about 2 weeks that I've really had an issue with any condensation in here. But it'll be something that is a lesson learned for next winter. Just going to keep a fan blowing on here and keep an eye on all the plastic on this wall to make sure not heavy condensation doesn't build up on the cement and give mold a habitat to grow. Overall though, the humidity in the fish room ranges from about 46% up to about 70% during a 24-hour period. The majority of the time it's in the 40 to 50% range, and it only peaks out to 70% for a very short amount of time, which is just fine. That's not very concerning. Once you get over 80%, that is when you have a real concern. Now, how is the rest of my house doing with humidity? Well, the basement outside the fish room, due to the dehumidifier, stays in the 30 to low 40% range all the time. And the rest of the house is the same way. In fact, the humidifier on my furnace has to kick on to increase the humidity in the house, which I'm just fine with, because all the humidity in this space, I want to keep it contained and blow it outside or run it through a dehumidifier. The other advantage to keeping a little higher humidity in this space has also been that the amount of evaporation I have in this system is minimized due to that. On average, I go through between 20 and 40 gallons of RODI water every week, and within that, I am using some either for doing some little top-off exercises, cleaning things. So it really hasn't been an accurate measurement, but I know I'm not putting in nearly as much as some people with significantly smaller systems. I've had people guess that I've been burning between 50 and 100 gallons of RODI water a week. And I can tell you right now, if that was the case, my house would just be completely trashed at this point. I can say the humidity mitigation is working great, and it's doing exactly what I want it to do. I want to talk a little bit now about the refugium lighting, how that's doing. Now, I did add an AI soul to this, which is an additional light on top of the 2 floodlights that I added. Now, they've been working well. Since adding the AI soul, though, I've noticed a very large increase in the amount of algae that's been growing. I have, however, had about half of the LEDs go out on one of the floodlights, which you can kind of see here. I'm not that concerned about it. The light costs $40, and I really was running it 24/7, and it's running close to 16 hours a day now, which is probably at its limit, which isn't a huge deal, but I did have a fan cooling all this for a bit. They are passively cooled. I've added a couple of computer PC fans to this, just blowing air across this space to keep the heat ventilated. So far they've been working good, And if you're interested, the fans cost like $6, and I got an AC to DC converter with little Molex clips on it that is what is used inside a computer case. Overall, I think it was like 20 bucks to add these little fans, which are rated at a much higher cycle of life than say a $5 or $10 little AC fan. 120-gallon sump tank and the radiant heating system have both been performing flawlessly so far. On average, my heating system's been running about 4 times a day using the PEX loop. Haven't had any kind of problems to speak of with it yet. Eventually I'm going to buy a backup Renko controller and a backup recirculation pump. For now though, everything seems to be working out just fine with them, and I haven't had any problems with them. I use the Apex as a backup temperature controller, so if I have an overheat situation, it will cut power to the Renko controller and the recirculator pump. I also have not had any kind of issues with hot water in the house. I turned up the temperature of the hot water tank a bit, and my wife's complaining that she wasn't getting hot water upstairs in the shower has been eliminated, so I'm not having any problems with her being angry about the aquarium taking away her hot water. I do have this nice big shelf here, which right now has just got a bunch of stuff on it. I do some testing, I got some tools, I got fish foods up here, I got all kinds of stuff up here. Eventually though, this will be the home of some kind of frag tank in the future that will probably house multiple mantis shrimps in it. I'm not sure on the tank dimensions that'll go here. It won't be super tall, maybe 12 or 15 inches max. And that will eventually come up here at some point in the future. I don't know when, but that's something that will be coming. I do have some other equipment that I need to get for this system first. Overall though, the reflow hammerhead pump has been doing really good as well. It has been chugging along, and like any kind of pump with a seal, there's a tiny bit of salt and a little spray of water that comes out of it on occasion. There's a little line that you can see where the impeller shaft is kind of crossing open air here. Not a big deal. I just look to make sure there's no pool of water sitting down here. I've explained before in previous videos too, I do keep an extra seal, and I have another reflow hammerhead pump just like it. I'll eventually get it plumbed up to have the exact same plumbing that this one does, so I can do a fast swap. Otherwise though, if I lose this pump, I will be able to rely on some water circulation in the other tanks, or if I had to in a pinch, I can hook up an emergency pump to this as well. But this part of the fish room's been working well, and I haven't had any issues to speak of yet. Final thing I want to talk about today was the RODI system. I'm still just running a single DI cartridge on here. I'm probably going to step that up to going to a 3 or maybe 4 stage DI at some point in the future. I had a silicate cartridge that I ran through, and it did work for a while, but it also burned out too, and I needed to replace that. And I've gone to a mixed resin in there now. I'm going to try that out, see how it does. I don't exactly need to get 0 TDS. I would be looking more or less to get a 3 or 4 stage DI to just afford me a little less maintenance on this, so that I could just let it run for a few months, not have a problem with it, and then I could just change it out as needed from there. That's all I want to cover in today's video. If you have comments or questions, please go ahead and leave them down below. Let me know if there's anything you want to know about the fish room or about the 1600-gallon system in general. I'll try to answer those questions in the comment section, or I might just make a video about it. And if you liked today's video, please go ahead, hit that thumbs up, let me know that you like the content. And as always, if you want to see more on the 1600-gallon system, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I will see you on the next video.